Welcome back, everyone. We've got a really fascinating explainer lined up for you today, so let's just dive right in. We're tackling a topic that absolutely dominates sports media, the illusion of ring culture, and why our entire GOAT debate, the greatest of all time debate, might actually be totally broken. I mean, just think about recent history for a second. The New York Knicks finally break a 53-year drought, dominating their way to a championship. The fans are celebrating, the whole city is rejoicing. But what does the media do the very next day? They go right on television and ask if a single ring even means anything anymore. They seriously ask if one championship actually validates a team or a player's greatness. It really makes you step back and wonder, how exactly are we measuring success in modern basketball?
And honestly, that brings us to a pretty mind-boggling question. Is the absolute pinnacle of the sport, the ultimate goal every single basketball player dreams of from the minute they first lace up their sneakers, now just a participation trophy? Seriously, think about how absurd that sounds. We literally have media personalities out there claiming that if everyone eventually gets a ring, then hoisting the Larry O'Brien trophy is nothing more than a participation award. Like if you've only won it once, somehow it doesn't count? This incredibly dismissive attitude is exactly what hooks us into the core issue of how we evaluate greatness today.
So we really need to understand the root of this attitude. We call it ring culture. It's this toxic belief that winning championships is the absolute only valid measure of a player's greatness. And guys, it is a completely broken barometer. Why? Because it completely ignores the context of how those rings were actually won. For as long as fans have been debating basketball, rings have reigned supreme. But what happens when the criteria for measuring greatness isn't properly calibrated anymore? What happens when we strip away all the nuance, the difficulty, the actual journey, and just reduce a player's entire life's work down to a simple math equation of who has the most jewelry?
Well, the truth is, not all rings are created equal. Take Dirk Nowitzki, for example. He has one ring. But his 2011 championship run is universally praised as arguably the most difficult championship won in modern NBA history. It's held in such high regard that, culturally, it might as well be worth two. Then on the flip side, we have Kevin Durant. He actually does have two rings. But to get them, he had to join an already polished, record-breaking 73-win Golden State Warriors super team. So, despite the math, Dirk's one ring is almost universally regarded as greater than Durant's two. Right away, we can see that context matters so much more than just the raw number.
And this brilliantly illustrates that the exact same logic applies across different eras too. Let me ask you this. Which player is greater, the guy with 11 rings or the guy with 6? Now, math class tells you 11 is obviously greater than 6. But let's look at the context. Bill Russell won his 11 rings in the 1960s, back when the league only had 8 to 14 teams. Michael Jordan, meanwhile, won his 6 rings in the 1990s in historically dominant fashion against a much deeper, vastly more competitive league. Because of that context, going against everything you learned in math, Jordan's 6 rings are culturally valued way higher than Russell's 11.
Section 1. The evolution of parity. The shrinking of championship dominance. If the evolution of the league proves that Jordan's 6 is greater than Russell's 11, how does the current evolution change things today? Back in 1969, Bill Russell set a record with 11 championships that will likely hold up until the end of time. But watch what happens as the league evolves. Going into the 80s, we start to see growing parity. Kareem gets to 6, Magic gets to 5. The 90s belong to Jordan with 6. By 2005, the crown is kind of shared by Shaq, Kobe, and Duncan. And today, in the 2020s, the active leaders, LeBron, Steph, Clay, and Draymond, max out at 4 rings. The ability to just hoard championships has steadily and undeniably marched downward.
Which leads us directly to the modern day and the next generation's ring count. These are the guys who are going to take the mantle as the league's legacy players once LeBron and Steph finally retire. Nikola Jokic, 1 ring. Giannis, 1 ring. Jason Tatum, 1 ring. Luka and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander currently have 0. Even the greatest players in the league today are really struggling to get past a single championship. According to toxic ring culture, this would disqualify them from being true all-time greats. But we really have to ask ourselves, are these players simply less great than the guys from the 90s, or has the system itself fundamentally changed?
Section 2. Legends weigh in. The players themselves debunk the myth.
To answer that, we don't just have to look at the data. We can actually listen to the guys who laced up and lived through these eras. First off, we have to call out the pure hypocrisy that ring culture creates. Robert Horry famously told Tracy McGrady on live television, "You gotta earn your rings." By ring culture standards, this is perfectly normal, right? Horry has 7 rings, McGrady has 0. But there is a massive problem here. Robert Horry, known as Big Shot Bob, averaged just 8 points a game in the playoffs. He was not the driving force. He only started in 2 of those championship runs. Meanwhile, Tracy McGrady is quite literally one of the 50 greatest players to ever touch a basketball. This perfectly shows how ring culture just dismisses legendary, historically dominant players simply because they didn't have the right teammates around them.
LeBron James actually pushed back on this culture heavily. He noted, "A ring is a team accomplishment. We got to be careful sometimes how we can be so dismissive of a team, a player." And you know what? He is absolutely spot on. Rings are the pinnacle of the sport, sure, but they shouldn't completely define an individual's legacy. You just cannot dismiss a player's entire body of work, their stats, their MVP awards, just because they didn't win a team-based championship. It's a team sport. It requires a perfectly constructed team to win the whole shebang. And hey, if you won't take it from LeBron, take it from Michael Jordan himself. Jordan insightfully compared evaluating greatness across eras to comparing Tiger Woods and Jack Nicklaus in golf. They didn't play on the same courses with the same equipment. Jordan put it perfectly. He said, "I won 6 championships. Bill Russell won 11. Does that make him better than me? No, because we play at different eras. It's an unfair parallel." Jordan knows that context is everything. The path a team had to go through and the rules of the era are the true measuring sticks, not just a raw ring count. Because let's be totally honest for a second. Just getting to 4 rings today requires unprecedented, almost impossible circumstances. Even for a generational talent like Steph Curry, getting to 4 rings took the perfect storm. It took one of the greatest players of all time in Kevin Durant joining an already 73-win team, which, by the way, was only possible because of a historic one-time salary cap spike. For LeBron to get his 4, he had to leave the team that drafted him, build an absolute juggernaut in Miami, and orchestrate historic comebacks. It took extreme, totally unprecedented circumstances for these guys to reach 4 rings. Section 3. Legislating parity, the death of the dynasty. Now here is the real kicker. Those exact extreme circumstances that allowed LeBron and Steph to get to 4 rings, they're basically outlawed in the NBA today. Allow me to introduce the technical villain of this explainer, the second apron. What is it? Well, it's a set of severe financial penalties introduced in the 2023 collective bargaining agreement. The owners literally got together and decided they were going to legislate parity. These new rules intentionally make it virtually impossible for teams to build a great roster and keep that roster intact. It forces teams to choose between keeping their championship core or maintaining the flexibility they need for the future. You are quite literally no longer financially allowed to be great for an extended period of time. And we are seeing these new rules absolutely crumble rosters in real time. After winning the ring in 2024, the rules forced the Boston Celtics to immediately blow up their roster, trading Kristaps Porzingis and Drew Holiday just to give themselves flexibility and stay below that second apron. We also see the Minnesota Timberwolves, a deep playoff contender, losing Karl-Anthony Towns to the Knicks simply because they couldn't afford to keep him under these strict new financial rules. The system is literally designed to break up great teams the very moment they achieve success. So the really crucial point is this: what is actually impossible today? KD signing with a 73-win Warriors team? Zero chance. It wouldn't be possible under today's cap rules. LeBron building the Miami Heat super team? Couldn't happen today. Running back a proven championship core year after year after year? Not even feasible. Between smarter front offices, advanced analytics, way deeper international talent pools, and these exact financial rules, winning a championship today is as difficult as it has ever been. And repeating, that's an almost insurmountable task.
Section 4. A new standard for greatness. Recalibrating the GOAT debate. This all leads us to a pretty massive realization. If the league has systematically destroyed dynasties by design, well, our entire criteria for evaluating a player's greatness must change. We've already established that 30 years of league evolution leveled the playing field between Bill Russell and Michael Jordan. Because of the deeper talent pool and the end of the 8-team league, we all collectively agreed that Jordan's 6 rings mathematically and culturally matched Russell's 11. Well, think about the last 30 years of evolution since the 90s. The talent pool is completely global. Analytics have optimized the game. And the financial rules literally prevent dynasties. This levels the playing field for today's stars in the exact same way.
So I leave you with this thought. If 30 years of evolution meant that Jordan's 6 equaled Russell's 11, does the last 30 years of evolution mean that 2 or 3 rings today equal Jordan's 6? Are we approaching a reality where winning 3 rings under the crushing weight of the second apron is the equivalent of a 90s dynasty? I really want you to rethink everything you know about the GOAT debate, and I definitely want to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you so much for joining me to unpack this fascinating explainer today. Keep learning, keep questioning the narrative, and I will see you on the next one.